Most people think clutter is something you can see. A crowded closet, a messy desk, a room filled with things you no longer use. But some of the heaviest clutter in your life may be completely invisible. It is the unfinished task you keep remembering at the wrong time. The conversation you replay even though it ended days ago. The decision you keep postponing. The headline that made you angry. The worry about something that may never happen. The quiet pressure telling you that you should be doing more, moving faster, and keeping up with everyone else. This is mental clutter. And when too much of it builds up, even a simple day can feel exhausting. You may wake up tired before anything has happened. You may feel busy without knowing what you actually accomplished. You may sit down to focus, only to realize that your attention is being pulled in 5 different directions. The problem is not always that you need more discipline. Sometimes, you simply need less noise. That is the idea behind my book, Minimalist Mind. Declutter your thoughts, sharpen your focus, and live with intention. Mental minimalism is not about becoming emotionless, detached, or uninterested in life. It is not about eliminating every problem or never feeling overwhelmed again. It is about becoming more selective about what deserves a place in your mind. Because your mind was never designed to carry everything at once. Think of your brain like a web browser. Every unfinished task is another open tab. Every delayed decision is another tab. Every replayed conversation, future worry, forgotten obligation, and half-formed idea remains open somewhere in the background. 1 or 2 open tabs may not cause a problem, but when you have 20, 30, or 50 open, everything begins to slow down. You may not even be actively looking at those tabs, but they are still consuming energy. That bill you need to pay, that email you need to send, that appointment you need to schedule, that project you started and quietly abandoned, that uncomfortable decision you keep telling yourself you will make later. Each one creates an open loop your mind keeps trying to track. This is one reason you can feel mentally drained even when you have not done much physical work. Your brain has spent the day carrying unfinished conversations with itself. The first step toward a clearer mind is not solving everything immediately. It is getting everything out of your head. Write down the tasks, worries, ideas, decisions, and reminders your mind keeps trying to store. Your brain is a processor. It should not have to function as a storage unit. Once something is written down, you can decide what to do with it. You can finish it. You can schedule it. You can delegate it. Or you can admit that it no longer matters and release it. Some mental tabs need action. Others simply need permission to close. Choose one small open loop today and finish it. Send the message. Make the appointment. Pay the bill. Delete the task. Make the small decision you have been carrying for days. Notice how much relief can come from closing one tiny tab. You do not need to clear your entire mind in one dramatic afternoon. You begin by creating a little space, then a little more. One of the greatest sources of mental clutter is the endless amount of information entering your mind. You were never meant to know everything happening everywhere at every moment. Yet every day, you are offered an unlimited stream of headlines, messages, videos, opinions, arguments, notifications, podcasts, emails, updates, and breaking news. Information itself is not bad. Useful information can teach you, protect you, inspire you, and help you make better decisions. The problem is unfiltered information. It is scrolling without a purpose, checking the same news story 5 times, reading hundreds of opinions about an issue that will never directly affect your life, watching another productivity video instead of doing the task you already know you need to do. Consumption can feel like progress. You can tell yourself that you are researching, learning, preparing, or staying informed. Sometimes that is true, but eventually, the page still has to be written. The video still has to be made. The application still has to be submitted. The difficult conversation still has to happen. Information is useful when it supports action. It becomes clutter when it replaces action. Before allowing more information into your mind, ask a few simple questions. Is this useful, or is it merely stimulating me? Will this help me make a decision or take meaningful action? Will this matter next week, next month, or next year? Is this something I genuinely need to care about? You are not required to have an opinion about everything. You are not obligated to keep up with the entire world. You are allowed to be intentionally informed instead of constantly flooded. Try reducing one source of unnecessary input for 7 days. Mute an account that repeatedly makes you angry. Turn off a notification that interrupts you. Stop checking the news throughout the entire day. Take a break from a social media feed that leaves your mind feeling heavier. See what happens when one noisy door closes. You may realize that the world continues without your constant attention, and your own life becomes easier to hear. Mental minimalism also means learning that not every thought requires a reaction. Every headline does not need your outrage. Every comment does not need your response. Every worry does not deserve an hour-long debate inside your mind. Every possible future problem does not need to be solved today. A thought can enter your mind without being invited to stay. You can notice it, examine it, and decide that it does not deserve more attention. Most people try to solve overwhelm by adding something. Another app, another planner, another system, another routine, another piece of advice. But many times, clarity does not come from addition. It comes from subtraction. You may not need a better productivity system. You may need fewer commitments. You may not need another motivational video. You may need to close the browser and begin. You may not need more advice. You may need to stop allowing every outside opinion to compete with your own judgment. The answer is not always more. Sometimes the answer is deciding what can be removed. A cluttered schedule often begins with a cluttered habit of saying yes. Yes to requests you do not have time for. Yes to obligations that no longer fit your life. Yes to interruptions, distractions, and favors that quietly push your own priorities to the side. Every yes is a trade. When you say yes to a pointless obligation, you may be saying no to rest. When you say yes to constant availability, you may be saying no to focus. When you say yes because you are afraid of disappointing someone, you may be saying no to your own peace. This does not mean you should become selfish or refuse to help anyone. It means recognizing that a clear no is often kinder than a resentful yes. You do not need a long explanation. You can simply say that you cannot commit right now, that you are focused on a few priorities, that something is not a fit for you at the moment. Boundaries are not walls against life. They are filters that protect what matters. Before accepting a new commitment, ask yourself whether it supports the life you are trying to build. Are you saying yes because it genuinely matters to you? Or are you saying yes because of guilt, fear, habit, or pressure? A minimalist mind does not automatically allow every request to become a responsibility. It chooses deliberately. You also need to pay attention to the clutter created by your own inner voice. You talk to yourself more than anyone else ever will. If that voice is constantly criticizing, shaming, pressuring, and frightening you, your mind will never feel peaceful, even in a perfectly clean room. Negative self-talk often runs so quietly that you stop noticing it. I always mess things up. I should be farther ahead. Everyone else is doing better than I am. I will never figure this out. I cannot handle this. Those thoughts may feel familiar, but familiar does not mean truthful or useful. Cleaning up your self-talk does not require pretending everything is wonderful. It means replacing exaggerated, punishing thoughts with cleaner and more honest ones. Instead of telling yourself, I always fail, you can say, I am still learning how to do this. Instead of saying, I should be farther ahead, say, I can take the next step from where I am. Instead of saying, this is ruined, say, this did not go how I hoped, but I can adjust. Instead of telling yourself that you cannot handle everything, remind yourself that you only need to handle the next small piece. That is not fake positivity. It is accurate thinking without the unnecessary cruelty. Your inner voice should sound like someone who wants you to succeed. Once you reduce unnecessary commitments and clean up your self-talk, protecting your focus becomes much easier. Focus is not merely a productivity technique. It is how you prevent the world from deciding where all your attention goes. Choose one meaningful task. Remove the distractions around it. Silence unnecessary notifications. Close the unrelated tabs. Put your phone somewhere you cannot reach it automatically. Then work on that single task for 25 to 45 minutes. Not 5 tasks. Not one task while checking email. Not one task while watching videos and responding to messages. One task with your full attention. Focus is not doing more things at once. It is giving one important thing the space it deserves. A clear mind still requires maintenance. You do not clean your home once and expect it to remain spotless forever. Your mind works the same way. New tasks appear. New worries arise. New decisions need to be made. New information competes for your attention. That is why it helps to create a simple mental reset routine. A daily reset can take only 5 minutes. Write down anything your mind is trying to remember. Choose one meaningful priority. Close unnecessary browser tabs. Clear one small physical space. Ask yourself what you are carrying mentally that you do not need to carry into the rest of the day. A weekly reset allows you to step back and look at the bigger picture. What drained your energy this week? What gave you energy? What obligation no longer fits? What unfinished task needs to be completed, scheduled, or released? What is the one thing you want to move forward next week? These questions keep small amounts of mental clutter from turning into complete overwhelm. But some clutter cannot be organized or scheduled. Some things must be released. You may still be carrying guilt over an old decision, resentment towards someone who hurt you, regret about an opportunity you missed, an outdated version of yourself that no longer reflects who you are, a responsibility you accepted years ago that no longer belongs in your life. Letting go does not mean that what happened was acceptable. It does not mean that you approve of another person's behavior. It does not mean you are quitting. Sometimes, letting go simply means choosing freedom over continued suffering. It means deciding that an old story will no longer receive unlimited space in your present life. Ask yourself what you are still carrying that no longer helps you. Name it honestly. Then remind yourself that you are allowed to put it down. You may have to release the same thing more than once. That is normal. Letting go is often a practice rather than a single moment. The world will always offer you more. More information, more options, more commitments, more opinions, more distractions, more things to buy, more things to fear. If you do not choose less intentionally, the world will choose more for you. A minimalist mind gives you a filter. Does this deserve my attention? Does this support the life I am trying to create? Is this helping me think clearly, or is it making my mind heavier? Can I finish it, schedule it, reduce it, or release it? You do not need to become perfect. You do not need to eliminate every noisy day. You simply need a way back when the clutter begins to build. Close one tab. Reduce one source of input. Say one clear no. Replace one harmful thought. Complete one focused work session. Release one thing that no longer belongs in your life. Small simplifications compound. They create more room for the people, projects, goals, and experiences that genuinely matter. That is what minimalist mind is really about. It is not thinking less. It is thinking cleaner. It is creating enough mental space to make deliberate decisions, protect your focus, and live a life that feels more like your own. You can find my book, Minimalist Mind. Declutter your thoughts, sharpen your focus, and live with intention by searching for Brandon Murray books on Amazon. But before you leave this video, choose one thing you can simplify today. One task, one commitment, one source of noise, one open loop, one thought you are ready to put down. Make a little space. Then use that space for something that matters.